Welcome to the show. It is Ivy Nation. It is Budweiser's Weekday Sportsbeat, along with IrishBreakdown.com. I'm Sean Stires. I've got Vince DeDario here. I don't even know what Jesse is wearing. This is like what was that? What was that show on? Did you ever watch the Fat Albert show, Vince? Are you old enough to remember the Fat Albert show?
Yeah.
It was like one of the guys had this hat that kind of like
that was Mushmouth. It went over his face.
Mushmouth. That's what it was. I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah.
Where did you get this party hat, Jesse? It's like a fur hat with a Notre Dame logo on the front.
This is Naomi's creation for the Notre Dame and Pittsburgh game tomorrow.
Very nice. Very nice.
Or you?
For her to wear. No, I'm not wearing this. This is for her to wear.
Bring your green hat, baby. Bring your green hat. You know,
this is homemade. Ordered it on Amazon. Put the cricketed the ND logo and then super glued it on there. These are homemade hats. She made one for the Cubs, and last time we went, everyone kept asking her where they could buy it. So she made one for the game.
If only people listening on the radio could see what this hat looks like. You'll have to log on the YouTube channel later if you're not watching right now. Plenty of people are watching and they don't know exactly what it is they're looking at. And Jesse may well have hit happy hour early. I'm coming to you from downtown Detroit. I've been off the last couple of days. Vince and Jesse holding down the farm the last couple of days, doing a great job with the show. I had a Notre Dame women's basketball game Wednesday. We were traveling to Detroit yesterday. We are here today. And, of course, the game is until tomorrow. Notre Dame and Michigan will play tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time. We've got Notre Dame hockey coming up later here tonight. So we're done a little bit early at around 6:40 Eastern time tonight. And then, of course, we've got Notre Dame football coming up noon tomorrow on Sports Radio WSBT and the Notre Dame Radio Network. And that means the game day show with a noon kickoff comes to you from 8 until 11 a.m. Eastern time. You can join Tim, Jim, Eric, and Tyler for this road game and their guest, former Notre Dame All-American, recent College Football Hall of Fame inductee quarterback Terry Hanratty, former Fighting Irish offensive lineman Trevor Ruland, and former Notre Dame running back Alan Pinkett. That is all coming up tomorrow. Did you guys, what'd you think of those New England Patriots uniforms that they wore in their Thursday night game last night? I just have to ask you right off the top.
I was a big fan. I thought they were pretty cool. I really liked them. I thought that some of these alternate uniforms that the NFL teams have gone to have left a little something to be desired. And I don't know what the concept was. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but the all slate gray with the white helmet. Yeah, man. I thought it was a good look.
Very sharp look.
I don't know if they've ever worn that before, but I definitely like the white Patriots helmet look. It was not the classic. Can't remember exactly what they called that back in the 80s, like the Steve Grogan era when they played the Bears in the Super Bowl. That was a white helmet, obviously, but this one was a white helmet with the more updated, modern-looking Patriot on the side.
They called them the Nor'easter uniform.
The Nor'easter. Oh, interesting.
Yes.
What is that official color? Like a steel blue?
That's a great question.
I don't know what you would define that color to be. I was more surprised that Vince actually subscribes to Amazon Prime and could watch that game on Thursday night.
You mean my wife subscribes to get Prime delivery?
Yes.
And as a bonus, we get the video.
Vince, you are being told that your mic level is very low. I don't.
That's definitely possible.
I can hear him fine, but
it's definitely possible. I'll see if I can't play around here a little bit, but
start yelling, Vince.
This is the first time that I've sat like on this end since we've been back in the radio, because obviously things are on WSBT, but we're all doing this streaming because of the fact that, again, I'm in Detroit. Vince is getting ready for a Penn High School football game. Who are they playing tonight, Vince?
Fort Wayne Carroll. That brings back a lot of bad memories for both Jesse and myself.
Drew Tranquil's alma mater. That's right.
Yep. That was And Drew Tranquil had a lot to do with the reason that that particular school has a bad memory for both Jesse and myself.
I mean, for me as well. I wasn't on the sideline with you
It's
guys.
true.
I was sitting in the stands freezing my butt off, but I watched it, and it was no easier sitting in the stands watching that as Adams lost that sectional championship game in 2012. We'll leave that in the past. That is some history out there. We've got plenty of Notre Dame to talk about. Pat Narduzzi was on the Pat McAfee show today, the Pitt head coach, of course.
Oh, Nard dog, baby.
And McAfee tried to go down the road of of Narduzzi's comments from earlier this week, the 103-10 and all that kind of stuff. The old Nard dogs, steered away from it, and he was all about, oh, this is about Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, and like he was honestly as happy as I've ever seen him because someone was paying attention to him, I think. But yeah. So he steered clear of readdressing any of that stuff. What he did say, though, and I found this interesting. Do you guys remember? Do you know who Tyler Palko is? Does that ring a bell?
He dropped the F-bomb on TV.
Yes, Tyler Palko.
That's the only thing I remember about him.
Tyrone Willingham's 2004 Notre Dame team lost in an upset to Pittsburgh at home, Notre Dame Stadium. Tyler Palko, the quarterback of the Pitt Panthers, became the first ever quarterback for any team to throw 5 touchdown passes against Notre Dame. He did it that day, and then Lewis Johnson was interviewing him on NBC live television in the post-game show. Henry must remember this. He interviewed him, and Tyler Palko was like, I'm just so effing happy for my team. And, they had to apologize for his F-bomb and everything else. Tyler Palko will be addressing the Pitt Panthers apparently tomorrow before the game. So
wow,
that's the Nard Dogs. That's the Nard Dogs' secret weapon, is bringing out Tyler Palko.
Tyler Palko is the reason that there is such a delay on NBC games right now. Like, he is the reason. And they're going to roll him out of mothballs to come talk to the Pitt team, huh? That's interesting.
I guess so.
Okay. I bet you there's a couple F-bombs in there. There better be. I'd be disappointed if there wasn't.
I think I would have to agree with that. Jesse's sitting there going, I have no idea who you guys are talking about. That was 21 years ago. So, yeah.
Do you think either Narduzzi or Freeman makes a game day appearance before the game?
No.
That's a little bit like the game starts too early, I think. Yeah. I think I wonder if either of them does like the walk and talk on the field, maybe like around right after 9 o'clock or something like that. That would be the only way I think either one of them does it, though. I would think Freeman has a better chance of doing it than Nard Dog myself.
That's fair.
Well, I know Narduzzi loves the microphone, so that's why I was curious if he would pull a good old Kurt Signetti and join game day before
he
the
feels
game.
Like his intestines are wound a little bit tighter, though. Like, I don't know if he can.
As the week has gone on.
Yeah. Well, that's just kind of his personality. I mean,
Pittsburgh's pulling out all the stops. You got game day. This is a ranked matchup. You're bringing back this old quarterback to give the pregame speech. You got Aaron Donald's jersey retirement. That's to happen at halftime. There's a lot going on this weekend in Pittsburgh. I'll be there, most importantly.
But Jesse, it doesn't matter that they're playing. Notre Dame's irrelevant. They don't plan special things when Notre Dame comes to town. Come on.
It's funny because he kind of walked a little from Monday. It's the way he was approaching Monday's press conference to being on Pat McAfee. That's kind of a 180. I'm just curious if maybe he got his hand slapped a little bit of, hey, every game matters. We're playing to win all these games.
Well, I don't know if he got his hand slapped, but I think his reputation got kind of smacked around over the course of the last 3 or so days publicly with after it went viral. So I'm sure he regrets it, and he's trying to, again, steer away from it as much as possible. So, I mean, I can't say that I blame him. So,
yeah.
Okay, we are going to talk specifically about the game, but before we talk about that, I wanted to talk about something else real quick. You guys played the comment from Marcus Freeman yesterday talking about his name being mentioned with all these job openings. And he was asked if it's something that he addresses with his team. So I'm going to play the comment first, and then we've got a little conversation that we'll have after that.
I feel like it's necessary. I do. A lot of times in things I say to the team, it may come out in terms of a great example is what's the noise you're putting in your head. Just because the noise in somebody else's head is one thing doesn't mean it has to be your noise. And so, as I told him, I'm sure I've said before, like just because somebody else might be saying my name's up for whatever job or being considered, that isn't the noise that I'm gonna put in my head, or that isn't my noise. And so I can address it directly, indirectly, but if I'm gonna spend time talking about something like that, I got to make sure it's in a way that it's beneficial for the players, right? Your time in front of the players is so limited. And so if I can use it as an example, I will. But I also, more than anything, want to make sure I can give them some type of message to make sure that they're doing something positive for themselves.
Okay, so there's Marcus Freeman. And again, he was asked, how do you address this with your team? Now, there are some Fighting Irish fans who take issue with the fact that Freeman has never come out and said, I'm not leaving Notre Dame or I'm staying at Notre Dame, something along those lines. Do you guys think he needs to come out and make any kind of declaration along those lines?
No, I don't, because it doesn't matter what any of us think. I think the players know where he's at. I think he's honest with the players when he needs to be honest with the players. And, he doesn't have to make any declaration to make us feel good.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what Vince was saying. There's no reason to publicly declare what you are and aren't going to do, because at some point it's going to come back and bite you. But I do believe that the people that need to know, and that's the people within the team and the locker room. I'm sure he's made it very clear of his intentions and what he plans on doing, and that's perfectly fine with me. As long as the players, staff, administration know, 100% transparent where he's at, then that's all that matters. I don't need him to get in front of a microphone every time there's a job opening and say, yes, I'm staying at Notre Dame. No, I am not leaving.
That's the thing. I think it felt like as soon as the second high-profile job came open and his name, was connected to it, like people wanted Notre Dame to come out and say, Brian, like Marcus Freeman is staying. They wanted some kind of declarations, and it's like I think it's more about some people just can't live in this state of uncertainty, and they, they need to be reassured about every little thing. But Marcus Freeman can't come out and do that every time a job comes open and says, it's like, I'm staying. And if you actually, I realize again, like people say word salad, coach speak, and all those different things. And some of his stuff is, but if you listen to what he was saying, their noise is not my noise. Basically what he's saying is there may be interest from other places, but that doesn't mean that I'm interested. That's essentially what he was saying with that line, so it's like, like without coming straight out and say, like the minute you acknowledge it, then all of a sudden you've got to acknowledge every single report that comes out. And I don't think that's worth anybody's time. I think it's more about, like he's had a pretty consistent message with his team. If we're successful, then there's going to be interest in me. There's going to be interest in our assistants and all those different things. So no, I don't think that he needs to come out and make any kind of proclamations about it, because, then other coaches have done that before. Brian Kelly did that before. And then the next thing you know, Brian Kelly was gone. So just because you say one thing doesn't mean it's necessarily going to hold true.
Well, at this point, he'd have to make this declaration 4 times in the last month between LSU, Penn State, Florida, now the New York Giants. Like, again, there's a time and place for that stuff, and he is focused on, this season, finishing out the season and the game week at hand. He's not going to come up on his Monday press conference every week when there's a new job opening and say, nope, I'm not interested in Penn State. Nope, I'm not interested in the New York Giants. Like,
correct. Just
a waste of everyone's time. And it would become clickbait at that point.
And again, there's going to be continued interest in him. And again, just because there is interest from the outside doesn't mean that is his interest. That was That's essentially what he was saying. And I think that that's his way of just saying, let's move on, And so let's move on. Let's talk about the game. There's a game to be played tomorrow between Notre Dame and Pittsburgh. Like Jesse said, he will be there. He's getting up bright and early. What time you leaving Cleveland tomorrow morning, Jesse?
I want to say probably about 6:30 a.m.
Whew, man, that is a wake-up time. Okay. So the Fighting Irish, of course, go from playing a home night game last week to a noon road game this week. And Marcus Freeman talked a little bit about making that adjustment.
We have a plan that we've utilized when we played Arkansas. We know that the plan that we have, the routine that we have for playing at noon is different than playing at night. We're intentional about it. I mean, what we do in preparation, how we, from Monday's meetings and lift times to Friday night bedtime, bed check, to Saturday morning wake up. They got to be downstairs for meetings at 7. I don't know if it's like 7:30 or 8. I can't remember the exact time. But they're going to be up before then. And we have a wake-up call, but a lot of them are down and having breakfast before we wake them up. So, I like our plan for a noon game.
He likes the plan. He likes the plan for the noon game. Big deal, little deal, or no deal going from a night game to at home to a noon road game from 1 week to the next, guys.
This is a big no deal at all. I think the only time when this becomes a deal is if you're playing maybe like Friday or international, like when they go over to Ireland, or like when you start moving days of the week or time, like international time zones. Yeah, that's when it becomes a deal. But like Marcus Freeman said, the only thing that's really changing is when they're going to wake up on game day, right? Like you get into the same routine on game day. It's just that now they have to set an alarm clock. And I like that he alluded to Arkansas, because he was like, listen, we did this against Arkansas. And, and he didn't say it, but I'll say it for him. Look what happened in that Arkansas game.
Worked out pretty well.
Yeah, this is a gigantic no deal to me. And it's one thing if like you're a basketball team and you're playing, if you have to play a back-to-back, or you play like twice in 3 days or something like that. Like, this is football. It is a week apart from one to the other.
Yeah,
like
so you have
plenty of time to get acclimated to the new time that you're going to be playing. And I understand, of course, they have a different schedule, and of course they wake up at a different time. All of these different things, and they even probably practice at slightly different times, or maybe have different emphasis at different times. That makes sense. I get that. But at the end of the day, you're still 7 days different from one to the next. It doesn't make any difference whether it's a night game, a noon game, or whatever.
Yeah, and the Arkansas game that he referenced didn't come after a night game, but it came after the Purdue game, which ended up being delayed by, what was that, like almost 2 hours or something like that. And they had all kinds of stuff going on during that game. So it finished, almost like it was a night game. It finished a lot later. And then, again, you bounce right back. And to your point, Vince, it's a week apart. It's not like you're playing the next day or even 2 days later. It's a week apart. So I don't think they've been on the road before. They've played road noon games before. Case in point, Arkansas. So I think they'll be just fine. I don't think there's anything like they addressed any potential noon kickoff road game concerns when they went to Arkansas, is as far as I'm concerned. So like they've done it once already this year. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
I mean, I used to worry about things like that when I used to work in retail, and you do a close open or something like that. Like, that's different. You know what I mean? Like, but this is not that in any way, shape, or form.
I got two things. One, time and location only matters to Lincoln Riley when you're playing football games.
Nice.
Number two, Notre Dame has a track record of wearing the all-white uniforms for road noon games.
I was wondering about that.
We see that.
I was wondering about that. Do you think we see all white tomorrow?
I think I am willing to bet a good 3. I would say there's a good 3 out of 4 chance that they wear the all white, especially because game day is going to be there. It's a marquee matchup. It's their last quote unquote big game of the regular season. So I think they're going to wear all white, and I can't wait. I'll be elated if they do it.
I love the all white. Bring it on.
I do too. All right. Jesse Stires with his green hat. Vince DeDario, no hat. Sean Stires, no hat. It's Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat. We'll take a timeout. We're going to come back. We're going to get deeper into this Notre Dame Pitt matchup Saturday afternoon at, is it Acrisure Stadium? It used to be Heinz Field.
What happened to Heinz Field? The catch-up people aren't making enough money apparently to sponsor the stadium anymore.
Noon kickoff tomorrow here on Sports Radio WSBT. We're into it next. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. the microphone. I did it. See, I'm on you guys all the time, and I had myself muted coming out of the break. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com continues, along with Vince DeDario and Jesse Stires. I'm Sean Stires from downtown Detroit, where Notre Dame women's basketball plays Michigan tomorrow. We'll talk about that at the end of this hour. Vince has got a little bit of a hard out. What do you got, about 15 or so minutes you can hang around still?
Give or take. I mean, we'll be all right.
All right. We got a three-man crew in the first hour with Vince, Sean, and Jesse. And then Vince is catapulting out, and Bobby Hensley is going to come in to join us for rapid fire heading into Notre Dame hockey later on tonight. Matt said, didn't realize it was a radio station show. Have a good one. Oh, all right. Well,
we are.
Matt is leaving. He doesn't like the fact that it's a radio station show. Sorry about that. It is a radio show. And honestly, I mean, it's not that much different, really no different at all than the show that we used to do when it was an exclusive podcast on the Irish Breakdown channel. Is it, Vince? I mean, obviously the only difference is you get a few breaks.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what ticks some people off.
Yeah, we get some commercials, and there were some people that figured when you weren't there, we weren't going to be on the radio as well. And I was like, au contraire, we are still live on the airwaves, even though Sean is not here.
Still a radio show. That's right.
Right.
No, people were hoping and wishing, I think.
Oh, Derek,
not a fan of the all-white Notre Dame uniforms. I mean, nothing's going to be unanimous. I would say, like, he says they suck. I wouldn't go. I think they're pretty sharp. But again, I realize taste is, it's also
that's a usual Vince take. I'm surprised Vince didn't throw that one out there.
I love the all whites, baby. Come on now.
I know, but it seems like you'd have some rationale for why you don't like the all white.
I mean, that is a fair assumption to make about my personality, but I generally am I like the all whites, like no matter what team it is. I like all white. I think that's a good look. It's clean.
It's just so clean. So
very
clean.
Which surprises me since Heinz Field or whatever it's called now is natural grass. So we're going to see some, the managers may not be happy with the grass stains that are upcoming.
True.
But that's the fun part is like when you wear the all whites, especially as a defensive player, you get to see your rewards after the game. That's a dirty, just messy jersey. I know that's like
to me, that's the most fun. It's like end of the game, grass stains on those white uniforms. You see who is down and dirty and getting after it. Even
depends on what position you play. Linebackers, you want to be dirty. Kickers, not so much.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, you'd probably like a clean uniform, knowing you just caught the ball.
Obviously.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys had me going in one direction. Some people, Josh included, worried about the fact that the ACC refs are working this game tomorrow. I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, it happens even at Notre Dame games. Jack has a question specifically for you. Over under on Notre Dame penalties. They went penalty free last week, but all the conspiracy theorists are out that the ACC is going to have it in for Notre Dame in this game. Are you worried about that?
I'm just not really a conspiracy theory type of guy. I think if you want to think it's a conspiracy theory, you'll be able to spin it that it's a conspiracy theory because the officiating has been bad all year.
Right.
And so, there's a very good chance it'll be bad again.
But it's also just been bad in general, not necessarily against Notre Dame.
Yeah, exactly.
It's across the board.
Like it's amazing, like which game was it? I think it was the USC game. Remember how the penalties came out in that game where I think USC had like the one penalty the whole game or something like that. And they were complaining that not enough flags were thrown on Notre Dame afterwards.
Yes, that's exactly right. So I think, if we're going to what do you want to set the over under? 5.5, like 4.5, something like that?
I'd go 5.5.
4.5 is where I was at.
No, see there, you guys are in the same neighborhood. Are we going over or under those?
Well, they had 0 last week. So I'm just going to say over this week because I'm sure whoever was officiating the game, they're like, really? No Notre Dame penalties? So I don't know. It just feels like a week where
it's a road game. So you would probably think you're going to get a couple pre-snap penalties someplace along the line. You just hope that they're not going to be completely costly. And it's also a team that's going to throw the ball a heck of a lot more. So there's greater shot that you're going to get a couple pass interference calls or defensive holding or whatever it is. So I'd be over that number, whatever it is.
Probably going to be over. So everybody just get ready for it. It'll be okay. And it still won't be a conspiracy. It'll just be the fact that the officials aren't great. And Notre Dame made some mistakes. That happens too.
What's your biggest concern in this game, going into this game? Biggest concern?
My biggest concern is that the Pitt run defense is very good. And, Notre Dame is obviously going to run the football. They're going to at least attempt to run the football. And how adamant are they going to be if it's not working? My concern isn't that Pitt is really good. My concern is that Notre Dame may not adjust. Notre
Dame might just force feed the run, even though it's not. It's not working.
Lean on your freshman quarterback. Let him do his thing, and you'll be just fine. Don't try to force it if it's not working.
I'll be a little bit more not specific, but draw an example. I worry about the first half against Miami happening again. A team that obviously was heavy in the box, stopping the run, bringing pressures, mixing up pressures, that sort of stuff. And I know it was different because they didn't want to let C.J. Carr loose completely, but C.J. Carr did make some bad reads in that first half against Miami. So like Vince, we know they have a good run defense. I'd like to see Notre Dame just kind of take it to them and say, F your run defense. But if it's not there, it's not there. You can move the ball in other ways. It doesn't have to be, just force feeding this run game.
Yeah, but that's the thing, again, when you look at these numbers, and I think we all have to have respect for Pitt's rush defense, but here's the fact. They're number 3 in the nation against the run, but they also have the number 71 pass efficiency defense, and they're 95th in the nation in terms of passing yards allowed. So teams can still put up some numbers against them and some points against them, which they have. And to your point, Jesse, about the Miami game, I just feel like that was kind of a one-off deal because it was a road game. It was CJ Carr's first ever game. And, they handled him with kid gloves. They didn't want him trying to do too much. And I just feel like he's such a different quarterback now. Pitt's obviously going to try to do some things to confuse CJ Carr as much as possible. But I also, again, when you look at how he's matured and just he had, a little bit of a bump or two in the middle, but he's come out of it pretty good. And I have confidence that if Pitt's going to load up to stop the run, and they're going to bring pressure, and they're going to do both of those things, I have no doubt about that CJ Carr can beat them in that kind of game. And then that will also, allow Notre Dame to even more effectively get back to using both Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price in the run game. I guess we're all in total agreement on that. My biggest concern is the other side of the ball. And that is Pitt quarterback. Now, it's not specifically Mason Heinschel, but he's not a traditional dual threat quarterback, but he is a guy who uses his legs. He's got 49 carries this year for 143 yards and a touchdown run. And remember, of course, in college football, sacks are included, in the rushing attempts category. So, he's closer to, over 200 gross rushing yards. He can use his legs. And my concern is that Chris Ash goes back to too much zone defense against a guy like that. And he ends up letting Heinschel, kind of pick Notre Dame's secondary apart, which is what has tended to happen when he's gone to so much zone. Look at the Boston College series, like that everyone was talking about to begin the second half, and look at anything that happened earlier. Are you guys concerned about that at all, that we see too much zone from Chris Ash tomorrow?
I mean, I'm concerned going into every game that is the so
the slippers that he's going to turn into a pumpkin and the slippers wear off, and
and I probably shouldn't be as worried as I am, because he has shown that he's willing to do, play defense the way this team has been built to play defense, and he's done a good job of it. And obviously the Navy game is an outlier with the way that they do things and things like that. but I'm still worried. Like, I'm still nervous about it. So I hope that they're very aggressive with the way they're playing defense and the way that they call the defense, because I think it's time to make this kid who has never lost a college football game this year, it's time to make this kid earn everything that he gets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely worried about it because it's something that Chris Ash really hasn't proven that he can, work into the defense effectively. Like, they don't need to play man every single down, and just like they don't need to play zone every down, but they need to be a predominant man team, and they do need to work in zone when it calls for. So, I think that it's just common sense. I saw something today, PFF rated Leonard Moore the best corner in man coverage.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting Christian Gray back this game after a couple games off due to some injuries that were nagging him. Those are two really good man corners, right? And so if you're just Chris Ash, to me, it's common sense. Let's play man early and often, and then if they get into third and 10, third and 15, then come with some zone and some zone pressure on the later downs, the long downs. But I think early on in the sequence, you play man. And you make Pitt earn every yard. It's just Notre Dame is a better defense. It suits their skill players to play man. I just hope that has gotten across to Chris Ash, because now we're at the point of the season in a ranked matchup where there's no more time to play around or to experiment. Like, this isn't Miami and Texas A&M anymore, right? Yeah. So if you do go to zone and it's not working, just get rid of it. Like, let's not tinker around and play with it any longer than what's needed.
I don't mind, elements of zone if it's used to confuse him, because this is a guy with less experience even than CJ Carr, and as talented as Heinschel is, he is still just 18 years old, and he's a true freshman. And let's face it, look at who they've played so far. Louisville's probably the best defense that they've played this year, and they lost in that game. And I feel like the way Notre Dame's defense plays when it's his best, when it is at its best, they should be able to do some things to make Heinschel uncomfortable. I will say this though, man, when I watch him, he's got some Favre in him, just like the way he slings, down at that, when he drops that arm slot and he's throwing off platform and he's doing all this crazy different stuff. He's definitely got some Favre gunslinger in him, and that's kind of what scares me is watching some of his stuff. Is you give him too much cushion and too many spaces to throw to, he'll just end up picking you apart. And that's what scares me even about what Jesse is saying is okay, third and long, where he has struggled at times this year, maybe you zone up on him there, but that's when I just dial up the heat on him. Honestly, I don't want to give him opportunities to have, big spaces where he can throw to open receivers like we saw earlier this season. I think that's always going to be in the back of everyone's mind, no matter what, no matter how successful they are. What about your confidence? Biggest confidence in this game?
Well, I will go right back to the offensive side of the football. My biggest confidence is CJ Carr right now. And there's some social media hate out there that they're like, oh, load the box, make Carr beat you. Do that. Please do that.
Please.
He's going to beat you. I'm sorry.
Do you want to just prove that you haven't watched any Notre Dame games this year? If you have any inkling that that's the answer,
right. Exactly. On. I've seen him play in 9 games now. Please make him beat you, because he will. And it was you and I were sitting up there in the press box against Navy. And yes, I realize it's Navy and they're undersized, whatever. Doesn't matter. The scheme that they had allowed for one-on-one all over the place. And CJ Carr was basically just sitting back there throwing to whoever he wanted to.
Right. And that's the thing, again, as aggressive as Pitt traditionally is defensively and as much heat as they want to bring, I expect him to do all those things. But that also means a lot of one-on-one matchups. And both CJ Carr and Notre Dame's receivers have proven time and again that they can win those matchups. They're kind of licking their chops for those kind of opportunities.
And Mike Denbrock's got to be wishing that Pitt's going to bring pressures and do some different things and allow one-on-ones on the outside. Please do that. Please do that.
My biggest confidence in this game, quite honestly, it's going to be.
Is this your confidence or your hat's confidence?
Both. We talked about this before the show. Me and the hat. My biggest confidence in this game is production out of anyone who can catch the pass. I think Raritan, I think Will Pauling, and I think most importantly, we talked about this on the whiteboard yesterday, Jeremiah Love is going to catch passes out of the backfield. His over-under line, I think, is at like 2.5. He's going to shatter that. He is going to shatter 2.5 catches. They are going to find him in that one-on-one matchup with the will linebacker or that overhang, hybrid safety linebacker position, and he's just going to feast all game. I think Eli Raritan is going to press vertically on these safeties as well that want to play down low, use his big body and athleticism to catch the ball near the sideline. So I am confident that Notre Dame's receiving core is just going to have a tremendous game.
My confidence, and I hate for, I almost hate to say these kind of things, but it's true. It's, give Pitt credit for going on this win streak that they've been on, but they just haven't won all season long. They haven't faced the kind of quarterback that they're going to see in CJ Carr. I don't think they've seen overall the same kind of skill talent that Notre Dame has on the offensive side of the ball. And just, on both sides of the ball, they haven't seen the level of skilled athletes and speed that they're going to see against Notre Dame. And probably the most comparable is Florida State, and Pitt won that game by a field goal. The next closest is Louisville. They lost that game by a touchdown, and that was Eli Holstein's last game as a starting quarterback. So I just feel like Notre Dame is probably going to outclass Pittsburgh in a lot of ways. Like, you can have good scheme and you can have all these, game plans and stuff, but I just feel like Notre Dame's guys are better than Pittsburgh's guys, and starting with the quarterback. They just haven't seen a quarterback that plays at the level of CJ Carr. And, again, right. I think Narduzzi, like you were saying, load the box. And I think Narduzzi definitely wants to take away the run, but he's got to have a plan B as well, because he can't think that he's just going to take away the run.
Right.
And that's all it's going to take. And you're going to beat CJ Carr and Mike Denbrock in that offense. At the end of the day, this game comes down to blank.
At the end of the day, this game comes down to quarterback play. You have two really good rush defenses. We know that if Pittsburgh is going to win this game, they're going to need a fantastic game out of Mason. I'm not even going to say that last name. And we know that CJ Carr is going to have to, basically undo the box, a heavy box, by throwing the ball as well. So I think this entire game comes down to which quarterback plays better. And I really think it's that simple, because if Pitt's going to win, they're going to have to air the ball out and keep up with Notre Dame point wise.
Yeah.
And if Notre Dame's going to run their offense, they're going to have to pass the ball, which will eventually open up the run game towards the end of the game.
This is going to sound very John Madden-ish, and that's fine. But it's going to be the team that, it's going to come down to Notre Dame's mistakes. Like, if Notre Dame is fairly mistake-free, they don't beat themselves, they win this game. They're the better team. They're the better team across the board. You can go position by position. Notre Dame has the edge, in my opinion. So as long as they don't beat themselves, they win this game. And I don't think 12 points or whatever it is right now, I think it's 12.5 points. I don't think that's enough. I think that's a low number. And I think Notre Dame wins by more than 12.5, as long as they don't go out and beat themselves.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to anything either of you have said, because they're essentially along the lines of what I was going to say. I will just add that, again, even for Heinschel, a guy who is as mobile as he is and has shown that he can use his legs the way he does, he's been sacked 16 times, and he's only started the last 5 games. So, it's a lot of sacks in 5 games. He had a 7-sack game and a 5-sack game. And I think that Notre Dame can rattle him, and I think that they can make him make mistakes, especially if Notre Dame is able to play with the lead for a good part of the day. You can't just, making him as uncomfortable as possible, I think that's the thing. Whichever defense makes the other team's quarterback, most uncomfortable and make mistakes, that's what it's going to come down to. Real quick, we need to take a break because we're going to get pushed up against the hour. The Ozzie family obviously got into the show late in the YouTube channel, but he says, reading a lot of chatter, NFL teams wanting Freeman. We started the show, talking about Marcus Freeman and outside interest. Why does the AD not update Freeman's contract? If Freeman leaves, it will be because of inaction. No, if Freeman leaves, it's not going to be because of inaction. It's going to be because he wants to go someplace else more than he wants to stay at Notre Dame. And I don't think that's the case. Again, you can't just give Marcus Freeman a new contract extension every time somebody breathes in his direction. Do I think that they ultimately might give him a new contract? I think that there's probably a pretty good chance, like as much as this has come up, but they're not going to do it in the middle of November. They're all trying to avoid this distraction as much as possible. And so I don't know. Anything you want to add to that, Vince, before we
they gave him an extension 10 months ago and or 11 months ago, whatever
and it runs through 2030.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't need the backing of the AD. He's got that. And so I don't think that makes any difference. And now, could they give him an extension during that December period between the end of the regular season and beginning of the playoff like they did last year? Possible. But I don't think it's necessary. He's not like the last guy who kept asking for more extensions.
Right.
That's not what Marcus Freeman is doing. And so I don't know that there's a big need to make that happen.
All right, Vince, you enjoy your game out there tonight. We will take a timeout. When we come back, Jesse and I will have more. Bobby's coming in the second hour. We've got even more Notre Dame stuff, of course, to talk about. Notre Dame Pitt coming up tomorrow, noon Saturday. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.
Go Kingsman.
Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com continues. Hope you're having a great Friday, getting ready for the weekend with the Hat Man, Jesse Stires. I'm Sean Stires. We've got good old Bobby Hensley coming in hour number 2 for Rapid Fire, so that is still on the way. I'm in Detroit for the Notre Dame Michigan women's basketball game that is coming up Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock Eastern time on the Notre Dame Radio Network, which of course includes Sports Radio WSBT, and you can hear all the games on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Hannah Hidalgo coming off her massive game. This is the first time I've been on the show since she had the game Wednesday night. 44 points, an NCAA record, 16 steals and 9 rebounds in the win over Akron. It was something to behold.
Yeah, while you were out yesterday, there was a question in the chat, and I've seen this kind of rolling around. Some people are really saying that it's a negative thing that Notre Dame is too reliant on Hannah Hidalgo, and maybe it's too much all about her. What say you?
I'm sorry. Was it a bad thing ever when Steph Curry had one of his 50-plus point games or scored 60-point games? Like, did anyone say, man, Steph Curry scores too much? Like, stop doing that. You know, like, it was, and I've seen some of this as well, Jess. Go back, like, and you know, like you can look at the play-by-play and the box score. Notre Dame scored 41 points off turnovers in that game, and they had 31 fast break points, and most of those two things like were intertwined. The points off turnovers and fast break points, which obviously always happens, but it also, because of the 16 steals, led directly back to Hidalgo. They were interconnected. You know, like, look back at the first 2 games. All 5 starters scored in double figures in those 2 games before Wednesday. So there was obviously a lot of balance there. But, like, go back and look. I counted at least 29 of her points that were a direct result of either her steals leading directly to a basket or a steal by a teammate, and then she got out on the break, you know, and she scored on the break, you know. So, like, that's what a lot of that wasn't about. It wasn't just like ISO ball, you know, and like everyone's going to stand around and Hannah attacks, you know. So, like, it was her defense, you know. Niele Ivey has always talked about our offense starts with the defensive side of the floor, and that's what most of that was about. It wasn't just, you know, everyone standing around and watching Hannah Hidalgo go, you know. I will say there were times, because, you know, like, the offense wasn't completely consistent and she did have to pick up a little bit of the slack, you know, because, like, Ayanna Moore, the Vanderbilt transfer, and Malaya Coles, the Wake Forest transfer, they missed both of the first 2 regular season games and the exhibition game because of their injuries. And I think that, you know, there were times where you know, like, there just wasn't, you know, like, you could tell that they were sort of being introduced. You know, it did break up some of the flow that I think the team had the first couple games. And there were also, you know, like a couple players who had off shooting nights. And I think that Hidalgo had to kind of make up for some of that as well. So I don't see it as a negative thing at all. You've got one of the 2 best players in the country, one of the leading candidates for National Player of the Year. And, you know, look, this team is going to go as far as Hannah Hidalgo goes this year. So if that means sometimes she has to score 35 points or 40 points, I don't think it's going to be her last 40-point game this season, personally. So I don't see it as anything other than a good thing, especially when you consider, again, how much of it started with her defensive presence in those steals that she had at that end of the floor.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that's a lot of what I was kind of echoing yesterday is you have to look at the steals, because the steals lead to a lot of her points in transition, fast breaks, and then also, like you said, her teammates also getting her involved in the transition game as well. So it's not like they're just running sets, going ISO, everyone's clearing out, and you just see Hannah going one-on-one, you know, shots, drives to the hoop and that sort of stuff. So I guess I think the biggest fear would be, you know, when teams start doubling down on Hannah, does that give you any worry about, do they have a second option that can be a bucket getter? You know, can they rely on someone if Hannah is maybe having an off game? Because I'm like you see, you know, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, these guys that average, you know, 30 points a game. And it's like, they're just good scorers. It doesn't matter what you do, single, double. Like a good player is going to get their shots no matter what.
And look, Scott pays really close attention to Notre Dame women's basketball. He disagrees, and that's fine. He says he thinks they should have emphasized setting up teammates more as part of the schedule. She's got 15, he says 4 assists. She's got 15 assists through 3 games. So she's averaging 5 assists per game. She had 4 the other night. And again, like literally 29 to 31 points were a direct result of the 16 steals that she's got. So it's not like she's going to get a steal and then sit back and go, okay, now I've got to wait for a half court set and, wait for my teammates to get set up so I can assist them. She literally took it, either took it right to the rim or she was getting out, and got a pass or two going right to the rim. So, it's like, that's what that game needed. That's how I look at it. That game needed that because Akron did make it a little bit close when the offense stagnated a little bit. And it was her defensive presence in those 16 steals that led directly to 30 plus points. So we'll see how it, tomorrow's going to be a really good test. Michigan's going to have a lot more size than what Notre Dame has seen so far.
Yeah, these next 2 back-to-back, Michigan, USC, I think you're going to learn a lot of things about Notre Dame women's basketball and their outlook for the rest of the season.
Right. Aussie family wants to know if the men's basketball coach doesn't improve, do you think he'll get fired? I don't know about fired, but this is a really big year for Micah Shrewsbury. That's how I look at it. Year 3, his best recruiting class, really good recruiting class, in addition to some veteran presence. I definitely think at a very minimum, they've got to be sitting on the bubble of the NCAA tournament. No,
I feel like we say that every year, though.
Right. I know. But this is year 3.
This
This is year 3. I do think there's a lot more on, but I don't know if it's like hot seat in or else kind of thing. We shall see. All right, let's break for the top of the hour, and then we're going to come back rapid fire hour number 2, Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. It's Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. It's hour number 2, and it's abbreviated hour number 2. Sean Stires, Jesse Stires, Bobby Hensley is now with us. Good to have you, Bobby.
Bobby, where are you?
I'm in a office. Why? Where are you? Look at that hat. Is it cold there?
It's freezing. It looks like you're in a kitchen and you have a cupboard open.
I know. Well, it's funny because Sean and I did a test to make sure the internet worked earlier, and he said that my background looked boring. So I angled it that you can see an open cabinet.
I said it looked boring, so this is what he came up with for the background. This is less boring than what he had before for anyone watching on the YouTube channel.
Well,
By the way, subscribe to the Sports Radio WSBT YouTube channel so you can see all the infamy, everything behind it. Okay, we've got a short time, so we don't have time to waste with this chit chat here, boys and girls. It's time to get going.
Enough of the pleasantries.
That's right. We've got Notre Dame hockey coming up here in a little bit. We had some interesting news out of Southern California today. USC Athletic Director Jen Cohen released this statement regarding non-conference scheduling. She talks about how no other team in the Big Ten is playing non-conference games after week 4 and all this stuff. And so I'll read as quick as I can, quote, intentionally making our road to the CFP significantly more difficult than our Big Ten peers does not align with our goal to win championships. That said, we want to play meaningful games, and we recognize USC's unique position in college football history. USC is the only FBS program that has never played an FCS opponent. We embrace the challenging matchups. They prepare us for conference play, excite our fan base, and grow our brand and revenues. That is why, of our 3 non-conference games each year, we will schedule at least one Power 4 opponent. If that opponent is a rival with whom we share a long and storied tradition, all the better. Okay, so that is from USC Athletic Director Jen Cohen. So what do we make of this? Are we significantly feeling any better about the continuance of the Notre Dame USC football rivalry going forward after this? Jesse.
I'll take the lead on this one.
Someone's got to go first.
This was a big word salad. The way I sum this up is USC proclaims they want to play big games, but not big enough games that they might lose, and especially if one of those games is a non-conference game on the road in October, right? So it's just like this was a very pointed word salad that had to directly do with Notre Dame, but she didn't mention Notre Dame one single time. And it's like, we all know who you're talking about.
Right.
We all know who you're talking about, right? And so it's just like, just I don't know. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Come out and say the thing
that you want, that you don't want to say. Just say it. Just say
it. It annoys me because we've been going around this thing for months now with USC. Do you want to play him or not? It's very simple.
Exactly.
And you know why they want to play him is because they still want that Netflix game where they can go to Mexico City and play it. They want Notre Dame when it's convenient for them, but they don't really want that on their schedule if it doesn't benefit them in multiple ways. It's like, okay, like Jesse, you said word salad. I really like that. I also had a hard time listening to Sean because I just keep looking at that hat. I need to know where to buy one. But I just like either we're going to do this or not. Why do we have to keep talking about it? Why are you going to be so vague and say nothing? Like that's what that statement was nothing to me.
And I mean, I only read part of the statement, and there's so much more to the statement that's even beyond that. There were so many words saying nothing in this statement that she released when all she really had to do was come out and say, yes, we're going to play Notre Dame. Like that's really what it's all about. Either you're in or you're out. There's no middle ground at this point. And I think that a lot of Notre Dame fans are just over it, like Joe Allen is saying in the YouTube chat right now. But I will commend Southern Cal for this. This is like the one point that I will give her in any of this where she says, where she talks about the non-conference games, and she said that they will include, a power four opponent, among the non-conference opponents, because as I've said over and over and over again, The Big Ten is the only one of the Power Four conferences right now that is not requiring its teams to play at least one non-conference Power Four game. Obviously non-conference being beyond their conference schedule. So they're all playing 9-game schedules. The others, the Big Ten is still the only one that hasn't also mandated, in addition to your 9 conference games against Power Four teams, you've got to play one non-conference. So, I will give them that, and obviously it leaves room open for Notre Dame to be in there. But she won't just come out and say, "Yes, we want to play Notre Dame. We're going to play Notre Dame." She wants to keep playing coy and teasing and all these things. Just get it done already. If you really want to do it, just get it done.
The line that stuck out the most to me of this whole paragraph: strategic scheduling is a key competitive advantage, and it is one we must align on. If we don't, we will allow our rivals to leverage us against ourselves, and that can never happen. So I don't understand how Notre Dame is leveraging against USC. You're losing the game. That's the only leverage there is. You are losing the game, and it is making your path to the college football playoff harder. Right. That is the only reason. So you're not being leveraged against anyone. You just can't win a football game.
Right. Like USC wasn't complaining about playing Notre Dame when Pete Carroll was there and they were pounding Notre Dame into the dirt every year. It wasn't an issue then, but now you happen to be losing. Like any rivalry, any series, any team that you play over and over and over again, there are going to be ebbs and flows and who wins and who loses these games. Right now, USC happens to be on the wrong end of all that. But, you can't use this as an excuse just because that happens to be where it is right now. Because, again, when Pete Carroll was there, they were winning national championships and dominating this rivalry, and you didn't see Notre Dame trying to back out of it at that time or ever.
Yeah, I'll always. So sorry, go ahead, Bobby.
No, go ahead, Jesse.
I was just gonna say, I'll always say, if USC truly believes they're a college football playoff contender and a national championship caliber team, then you should have no problem beating Notre Dame. Notre Dame, that should be your test. If you think you're truly a college football team and you're truly a national championship level team, then you should have no problem beating Notre Dame along the way.
Especially if you're almost going to try and treat Notre Dame like little brother, which is almost the vibe that USC is kind of putting out there. They think that it's beneath them almost to play Notre Dame. Notre Dame, we'll see if we can fit it in on our time, on our stuff. And then part of that statement too bothers me because it's like they say they've never played a Division II opponent. Yeah, but you're
FCS,
scheduling
not Division II, FCS.
FCS, sorry. But you're still scheduling some teams that you're better than. So it
Missouri
doesn't
State.
matter.
Yes.
So stop trying to humble brag on yourself for doing nothing really and scheduling weak opponents anyway. But the whole USC thing, I just keep thinking they make themselves look bad every statement they have. And as long as this keeps going on, what are we doing? Just make your schedules, play Notre Dame. It's going to happen anyway. You need it. Like Jesse said, plus, even if you lose to Notre Dame, if Notre Dame's good, that helps you in the rankings because at the end of the year, your strength of schedule will be better.
You've got a better.
It's a win-win.
Exactly. And because you're in a conference, as Pat Narduzzi was alluding to earlier this week, you play a good game, especially if you play a close game with Notre Dame or any other good, non-conference team that you happen to play. It doesn't have to be Notre Dame, but you play a good close game and that still works in your favor as a result. And you still have an opportunity to win your conference. It doesn't matter one way or another, but you're going to be rewarded for it because of the strength of record and the strength of schedule and everything else. All right. Again, we've got a short rapid fire today. So we're going to take this break and then we're going to unload the rest of the box when we come back. Jesse will talk about his fantastic hat as we get ready for Notre Dame and Pittsburgh coming up tomorrow. Last break of this show, and then we will finish with more questions in rapid fire. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com and Rapid Fire continues. I'm Sean Stires, along with Jesse Stires and Bobby Hensley. Can you guys hear that?
Hear you? Yeah.
No, there's like some kind of crackling sound. Can you guys hear that?
I can hear a little bit of static. Yeah.
Okay. Not sure where exactly that's coming from. It's probably Bobby. Like any technical issues are usually Bobby. So.
Could be worse.
Don't touch anything. All right, we've made an executive decision during the break. The show is going to end in about 17 minutes on the air, but we'll probably go into a little bit of overtime. We won't go like too much longer, but I want to make sure we get a few of these questions in here, and everyone's kind of having a Friday.
Got places to be, all right.
Well, you should have responded to the text. You didn't say anything.
Oh,
you had the opportunity.
He can't see that phone over that hat.
Yeah, I know. The green hat is messing him up. James wants to know if Michigan and USC are going to end up leaving the Big Ten. I don't know how closely you guys have been following this whole thing, but they're doing, the private equity thing in the Big Ten, and USC and Michigan are the only two schools that have voted against it. But part of that deal includes an extension of the TV grant of rights that would run through 2046. The current deal ends in 2036. So USC and Michigan could very well end up going their own way. But I mean, anything that happens isn't going to happen for 11 more years at this point, because they're both still going to get a boatload of TV money every year. So I don't know, like what you guys think of that.
They're not going anywhere. This is just hot smoke. Everyone thinks because Notre Dame has this quote unquote easy schedule and 2 losses and can get in the playoff. Oh, we should just all go independent. Independence being easy. Anyone can be independent. It's not that easy. Not everyone can do it. If there were teams out there to potentially do it, I would say that Michigan and USC are candidates, but it's just not going to happen.
No, I mean, any of those blue blood programs like Texas or Oklahoma, they could probably be on that tier as well. But you need the network money to be able to be independent. I mean, again, it always comes down to money. A lot of dead presidents going around, but Michigan and USC, they need to be in a conference. That's how it's set up now. Now, could they break away or pull off and make a smaller conference? Maybe something of that nature. But
I wouldn't rule out the SEC for a school like Michigan either, as a potential landing spot.
I'm tired of the conference stuff. Every year they're just changing and talking. It's the same thing as their statement about playing Notre Dame. All this is fodder for us to talk about, but really it's just all talk. And I think everybody's just positioning themselves to try and get more money and make themselves look better and stronger.
Bobby, did a pirate ship suddenly appear in your background there? What is that over your shoulder?
Yeah, it's a ship, It's my second favorite kind of ship, because my first favorite kind is friendship, because it's a ship that never sinks. Well, he's got a hat. I had to get some gimmick. I had 30 seconds. I ran and found a ship.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. Fill in the blank. It means blank that Notre Dame linebacker Drake Bowen says the Fighting Irish have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because of the people who think the team doesn't deserve the college football playoff ranking they have.
To me, it's necessary. When you're going on this late in the season, you're fighting for a college football playoff chance. What's on the line, but I think every now and then it's good enough to kind of hear that chatter and listen and say, people really don't think we're good enough, right? And so I don't think that Notre Dame needs any of that extra, bulletin board material or whatever you want to call it. But I always think that it's good to play with that kind of underdog mentality, to play with a little bit more aggression. That kind of, we want to prove ourselves and show you why we're one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, any motivation's good motivation, but I don't think there's a single play when they're on the field and they're like, all right, remember this, and that's why I want to play a little bit harder. But, I mean, it's always good to see that people, they're not ignoring the narrative and they know what's going on, and it's a response. I enjoy that. I like hearing it. I like that it's not a negative, and, you back yourself up, you support your team, you make it sound good. I don't think it means anything on game day, but I'm glad that they're at least aware, like, hey, we got to keep doing these style points. We got to keep winning and looking good. And I think it's a positive.
sometimes you worry, that they're thinking about the wrong things and, where their focus is and stuff like that. But in this case, I think that you need a little bit of extra juice at this point in the season. And I think that if they're playing with a chip, like they've got to go out and prove themselves every week, there's nothing wrong with that, because people are knocking their schedule, and every week it's a different, whether it's BYU or, you had the Louisville fans, obviously. You got the Miami fans and the ACC coming at you about who belongs and who doesn't, and the head-to-head and all these different things. I think it's a good thing, if that makes you kind of knuckle down and practice a little bit harder during the week because you feel like you got to go out and prove it on Saturday. I feel like ultimately that's nothing but a good thing.
I think it's almost like more rewarding once you do well then, because you know that it's out there.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not even motivational, but it rewards you after the game.
We got topics. Let's go, people.
Oh, Jesse's all of a sudden in a big hurry to
Was
get
it
going
Gonzo
here
on his head?
because we threatened to stay a little bit later here tonight. We talked about Marcus Freeman a couple times in the first hour of the show with, all the outside interest and stuff like that. Joseph in the YouTube chat wants to know any discussion, development on a contract extension. I mean, there's nothing right now, and I don't expect anything to happen while the regular season is going on. I would not be shocked if, just like last year, something happens in December once the regular season is over and you're looking toward the playoffs and those kind of things. And I also wouldn't be surprised if, rather than even, adding on to that contract extension, which he already had extended, remember, again, less than a year ago, if it just comes in the form of some other things, other benefits around the program, whether it's, even raises for, assistant coaches or, just other, like extra revenue for, for players and those kind of things. I wouldn't be shocked if it comes in that form rather than just a traditional, like extra contract extension.
Always funny how those contracts kind of don't mean anything, isn't it? Every year you get an extension or a raise.
Okay, so Jesse's
silent because he's doing this.
I know. He's like, come on. I just
no. Bring that banner back up, or bring that question back up again. I like when we don't have to see Bobby.
Well, if you pull that hat down, we don't have to see you very much. That'd be nice.
Oh, there we go. That's good. There we go.
Salty Virginia Peanuts in the YouTube chat wants to know if Jesse's friend Barney made the hat for him.
Hey, this is the dark green. This is Notre Dame green. The wife made this. I
think it's very festive. I think it's a
fun,
festive hat. People are knocking the hat. I think it's fun and festive.
And the thing is my wife is going to be wearing it. I'm just wearing it.
She's wearing it. You're just showing it off today.
I'm just debuting.
Well, she already wears the pants. She might as well wear the hat.
Hey, I'm just happy that she's going to go and she made the hat and she's going to have a good time.
Pitt allows just 80.9 rushing yards per game this season. Scale of 1 to 10. What's your confidence Jeremiah Love tops that number by himself, Bobby?
I'm going to put it at 7. I think that he will, but I'm not going to go over the top with it. I think that's a really good, interesting number. I think he will, but I'm not super confident in it.
I like Bobby's number, surprisingly. I'm going to go 7 out of 10. I want to say 8 out of 10. I think he's going to get this. I have this sneaky feeling that this is Jeremiah Love's Heisman game. I think I asked Vince this question yesterday in rapid fire. I think he's going to rack up close to 200 all-purpose yards. He's going to have 2 touchdowns. I just think the man is going to go nuts this weekend.
Bobby's looking over the bar in the YouTube chat because I think he put in comments that he has to
Heisman game. So you think he's still in the Heisman running, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right.
I think he can if he has, like, especially this game. Like,
this is his game if he wants to make himself a finalist, this is the game to do it.
It reminds me of the Jamal Adams year where he had such a good run and he almost got to the Heisman.
Yeah, but he fizzled off towards the end.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. So I'm hoping that he gets stronger at the end.
Jesse's hat, for those who watch Seinfeld, like, the visual to me is a little bit like, you remember, I'm not going to say the word that everyone's been saying in the chat because I just feel like there's some things that you probably shouldn't say these days. But, like, if you saw the what was the Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, like in the hat that Kramer was wearing in that episode, and he's got the cane and he's strolling down the street. That's what Jesse's hat reminds me a little of.
Jesse definitely didn't wear that hat and expect us not to notice.
Well, this is my newest piece of my collection.
You must have an outstanding collection. How many hats do you own?
Over 100.
I'm going to answer the Jeremiah Love question. My confidence is an 8 out of 10 that he's going to top the 80.9 yards himself. I feel like what's probably going to happen, I feel like Pitt's going to have some success because they are good against the run, but I feel like kind of like the last couple of games, we're going to see a huge, like a really long run of 40, 50 plus yards. And that's ultimately what's going to put him over the top on this number. I think play in, play out, Pitt is going to have some success. I really feel like this could be a Jadarian Price type game. Honestly, like where maybe, he kind of busts, more consistently, maybe, like a little bit longer, than the 3 to 4 yards per pop and that kind of thing. But I do look at like NC State's Hollywood Smothers had 8 carries for 86 yards against Pitt, and Pitt gave up 161 rushing yards in that game. Ty Edwards from West Virginia had 141 yards, against Pittsburgh, and they ran for 174. Pitt lost both of those games, by the way. So, they didn't lose the NC State game, but but they did lose to West Virginia. So Jeremiah Love's better than either one of those running backs. So I feel like he's got a really good chance to top that.
Just don't be stupid. Press the edge, get him on the perimeter, some veer action, some quick tosses, some jet motion. Just don't do the Notre Dame thing on every 4th and 1 and just jam the box and think that Jeremiah Love is just going to break off these huge runs.
Well, and the blessing obviously is that that Notre Dame has so many weapons right now on offense. They're clicking. Everybody knows their offense is good. So the blessing curse thing is that you might have to give some of the other weapons some of the yards, and that would be something that would deter him.
Jesse, do you have the confidence that, like they've obviously thrown to Jeremiah Love some? Do you have the confidence that Notre Dame will strategically try to hit Pitt, maybe with a screen pass or short
100%
pass of some kind, to beat
100%. I'm going to hammer Jeremiah Love's over 2.5 receptions. It is going to be the top of my, and I think Eli Raridan is like 2.5 as well. Those are 2 guys in man coverage where you can really exploit some mismatches. I think
so too.
Jeremiah Love's going to have a huge game in a huge receiving game. I mean, overall, but he's going to have a really good receiving game.
Do you know off the cuff what his over-under for receiving yards is?
I would probably put it at somewhere around 30 to 40, I think, if I had to guess.
So that'd be a good number. He breaks a couple, and he's already there.
It's usually around 25.
I'll see if I can find it here in a minute. Let's get into this next question first. Over under 3.5 sacks by the Irish defense on Pitt quarterback Mason Heinschel.
The fan in me wants to say over. I'm going to take under because of what you were saying. He's got some mobility to him, a little bit of that Brett Favre, get the ball out, even if he's not taking a sack, just getting away. I would like to see Notre Dame not necessarily get the sacks, but force them into bad throws and turnovers.
I'm going to take the over. I'll take the fan side of this. I don't have the green hat, but I think the over because they're going to be throwing a lot. I think they're going to be down a lot in the game. So they're going to be throwing more, especially at the end of the game. They're just going to be throwing desperate throws, and you get a couple sacks on the last drive or two. I think that's a number they can get over.
John is saying under. I'm going over on this. Craig is saying under. A lot of people can say, again, the number is 3.5. Look, if Syracuse can sack him 7 times and Florida State can sack him 5 times, I'm confident that Notre Dame can sack him 4 times. And really that's all, that's the only thing that the question is looking at is can Notre Dame get to 4 sacks?
Well, like Jesse said, especially if he's a scrambler and he's running around, you get him outside the pocket and he still can't find anybody downfield. You can get a couple sacks right away.
Scott says Notre Dame doesn't need to rush to win. Maybe they'll have 150. Maybe Love will have 150.
They do need to rush to win. You cannot abandon the run game. I think what you're going to see, how you beat a team like this is you move in motion. I think you'll see Jeremiah Love motioning in and out of the backfield between the slot receiver and the running back position just based off of looks and matchups that they're getting. In an ideal world, you go 2 running backs, you have Price and Love, and then you motion Love out to the slot, and you can still keep a running back and Love on the field at the same time. But I don't know. Maybe that's in the deep archives of Denbrock's offense.
No, I think you're right. I mean, you don't want to abandon your identity, especially this late in the season. And their identity is a run-first team that opens up the pass. That's what makes Carr good, is that they put so many, defenders in the box, and he can pick them apart downfield. Then you have to establish the run, and that's their strength.
They're not just good. I agree to an extent with what Scott is saying. Like, they don't have to have a massive rushing day to win, but they also can't just abandon the run. And they've shown, like with Navy and Boston College stacking the box these last couple of games, they're not just going to abandon the run. And that's, that's how Jeremiah Love ended up with both of those long runs against both of those teams, was the fact that they still stuck with it and they were still trying to run the football. And I think they will. Again, I don't think they're just going to sit there and beat their head against a wall and keep doing that. And I don't think that is going to be the case. But I do think that they have to have at least some semblance of a running game. Like, they can't put everything on CJ Carr's arm. But on the other side, I do feel like that's what Pitt is going to have to do with Heinkel. I think that there's going to be, I think they're going to try to run the ball, but I don't think they're going to have nearly as much success because their offensive line is not as good, and they obviously don't have as good a running backs either.
I mean, this time of year, you love that kind of smash mouth football.
Yeah. So we're going to go into overtime here in a minute. We're going to wrap up the on-air portion of the show first on Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat. Don't forget Notre Dame and Pittsburgh coming up at noon Saturday here on Sports Radio WSBT. The game day show from 8 until 11 a.m. And the guests this week include 3 former Notre Dame players, Terry Hanratty, Trevor Ruland, and Alan Pinkett. So that is all coming up Saturday. We've got Notre Dame women's basketball at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon. And we also have, of course, Notre Dame hockey coming up next year on Sports Radio WSBT as the Fighting Irish host Michigan State. So that is coming up next. We're going to wrap up the on-air radio portion of the show right now, and then we're going to go into overtime on irishbreakdown.com. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with irishbreakdown.com. All right, so we're just going to keep on rolling right now. Jesse, I'll just ask you, I'll come right out. Like, how long do you have? Can you give us 10 minutes? Can you give us 5 minutes?
Hey, as long as we're done before the top of the hour, I think we'll be in good shape.
See, like all
Jesse, is it my fault you just don't want to hang out with me virtually?
Bobby, you got a little fan there in the chat. I don't know if you saw that. Someone's
I mean, they're not wrong.
Little Brittany action.
Oh, little Brittany.
Yeah.
That's looking good as always, Bobby.
It's almost like she knows me. Thanks, girlfriend.
Everyone's got to have a fan, right?
Well, I mean, I was supposed to be leaving to go get pizza, but now I'm stuck here with you till the top of the hour.
So I'm messing everybody up, is what you're saying.
I mean, you got a date
that you don't have a life, Sean, but the rest of us, we do.
All right. Well, yeah, you're right. I am stuck in a hotel room. Let's just go with this. All right. I'll just wrap it up on this. I wanted to get this one in because, like once we get into this weekend's game, I feel like it's completely dated. We're a little bit old on it right now. I'm going to play Gus Johnson's call on Fox of Indiana's game-winning touchdown pass from Fernando Mendoza to Omar Cooper from last week's Indiana win at Penn State. Here it is.
In trouble! It's out! Touchdown! Omar Cooper! Unbelievable! Kevin Liza drove it out. Did he get his foot down?
The ruling of the touchdown is under review.
Oh my goodness. No way!
Okay, so the only thing I really understood was Joe Klatt there at the end. Did he get his foot down? Is that the moment Gus Johnson officially jumped the shark? And before I go any further, do I need to explain to everyone what jump the shark means?
I know Happy Days.
Okay, Bobby knows Happy Days. So I'm the old head. Bobby is at least a little bit old enough. So I'll explain the term jumped the shark. There was an episode of the TV show Happy Days, which was a massive hit back in the 1970s and into the early part of the 1980s. They go from Wisconsin, they go from Wisconsin. They're like vacationing in Los Angeles. And the Fonz, do you know who the Fonz is, Jesse? Hey.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in The Water Boy.
So, yeah, that's right. So the Fonz is water skiing, and there's like this ramp in the water, and he literally goes up the ramp and jumps over a shark on the water skis. And so that is regarded as the moment that the TV show Happy Days officially passed its prime. And that's how the term jump the shark came about, when something essentially has left its best days behind. So was that call that you just heard from Gus Johnson the moment Gus and his Gusgasms officially jumped the shark?
For me, Gus has jumped the shark many years ago. I've never been a Gus fan. I think it's too much. I think you can tell it's like he's trying too hard, it feels like. And I feel like this most previous one was the final kind of like, come on, man. What are we doing here? You know, like it just doesn't feel, I think the word I'm looking for is authentic. It never feels completely authentic. It feels like he's trying to inject that energy into it. And it's like, man, just give me your natural self. You know, like I don't need you screaming on the mic and like, no, just give me the natural raw moment with your natural enthusiasm.
Do you think it'd be better if he had a green hat that he killed a Sesame Street character for? No, I agree with you all the way through what you just said. It almost feels like it's scripted. I think that's kind of like we're saying the same thing there. It just feels like he wants to say these things, and it's not natural. It's not organic. He
wants the moment to be bigger than what it actually is every single
He wants
time.
himself on the promos. He wants himself in the moment.
That's not going to get you on a promo. That call, that is not going to get you on the promo. I'm sorry.
But you said we had, I don't remember what week it was, but you asked us to our Mount Rushmore of college football broadcasters. And I specifically said, I don't like him. I don't like Gus. He's just too much. It doesn't feel natural.
I've always liked him, but like that wasn't the only time he did that. That shrill shrieking, like you literally couldn't understand what he was saying, and why he felt like he had to push it to that level is beyond me. Because just like typical excited Gus has always, I've loved it. Like his enthusiasm, Kevin Harlan's enthusiasm. Like I've always loved it, but it just like, I think what happens, as someone who calls games, and like I've had some of these moments like earlier in my career as well. Like I've talked before, like my first couple years, Notre Dame women's basketball, 2001, won a national championship. Baseball team went to the College World Series the next year. Well, the ensuing years after that, they were both consistently tournament teams, but they weren't at that level. And so there were definitely times where I found myself sort of, not always consciously, but feeling like you're sort of trying to manufacture the same excitement and enthusiasm because of the fact that, like you've kind of experienced those moments before. And that's what it feels like. Gus is just kind of maybe at this, like he's done it so much, like maybe his enthusiasm level isn't what it used to be. And he's trying to manufacture it now, because that was just awful. That was again, you couldn't understand anything he was saying. That is one of the worst possible calls I've seen from someone at that level of TV broadcasting.
It's one of the worst calls you heard. You didn't see it.
Well, I watched it on TV and I heard it. Yeah.
But the difference is, well, you would say that to me if I had said it. That's why. But the difference is you were covering teams that were not great. That moment that he covered up was one of the greatest moments of the whole college football season.
True.
Of the whole year.
A lot of people think it's the best moment of the season.
The moment can speak for itself.
And that's why you've got to hit it. That's why you've not got to do that garbage. And
Right.
You've got to hit it with the appropriate amount. Like if he just hit like 80% of that, it probably would have been a great call. But for some reason, he felt like he had to push it higher.
In the big games, in the big moments, in the big calls, I always think less is more. I like to hear the background noise. I like to hear how, and I get it. Maybe, the crowd mic isn't going crazy or whatever, but like, I like to let the moment take care of it. And then you insert yourself to a degree, but definitely not to the degree that Gus.
Right.
took
Like
it.
the Vin Scully, Kirk Gibson home run as an example. Like, obviously, Jesse, you weren't alive then. And I don't know if like you've seen, the
fist bump
replays and YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, like the whole,
There you
when
go.
he's rounding the bases, but Scully, she is gone. And then he stops talking after that. And he let the crowd noise take over and he let the camera take over. And like, I don't think he talked for like 3 or 4 minutes after that. He just let the pictures absorb what they were seeing. And really all Gus Johnson had to do is give a good touchdown and
Did
let
he
the
get
crowd,
in? Yes.
let the crowd take over, lay out for a
Bobby,
minute.
We need you on the call.
No, actively not. But like, to your point though, like did you believe in miracles? And then Al Michaels let off so the hockey would play out.
Right.
And you see them all celebrating and they won the game. All the best calls, it seems like the call goes with the moment. You can't make the call the moment. And that's what Gus Johnson does on a regular basis.
It's a good way to put it.
Have you ever had a canned line or something you knew you would say in a situation?
The only time I've ever done anything like in terms of like the actual, like what's happening, in the course of the game, I've always like if you try to prepare something, you're probably going to screw it up and you're going to trip over, yourself and that kind of thing. There were a couple times, and again, this was like back in the Dave Schrag, years. So it was like looking for some fun things to do, but like a couple of the assistant Notre Dame baseball coaches would give me a movie line before the game, and they were like, work this in somewhere. And there was one, we were down in Florida, and this Notre Dame player named Matt Grosso. Do you remember Matt Grosso, Jesse? Like little skinny guy. He hit a home run, and the line was from Shrek. It was, get in my belly. And so after he hit the home run, I dropped that in there. And there was another one from
That's
Wedding
dangerous.
Crashers.
That could be your catchphrase.
Another one from Wedding Crashers. Grab that net and catch that beautiful butterfly pal. I worked that one in one time on a hit. So that was like, those are the only times. It was just, it's like they would give me a movie line before the game, and they were like, work this in. Those were the only times where I ever, tried to do anything.
But you don't have a catchphrase.
No.
All right. Plenty of time to work on that. A lot of season left for the women.
Well, you guys can always feed me, Seymour.
Get in my belly.
Yeah, get in my belly. I don't know. It feels like a little bit much at this point.
So is Gus.
That's very tryou. All right. Well,
we got game predictions. Don't leave me hanging on game predictions.
All right. Let's do our game prediction here real quick. Notre Dame. Do you want to do like Notre Dame in addition to a couple of these other games that I've got here? Okay. So first of all, Jeremiah Love's official FanDuel receiving yards number is 27.5. That feels like an easy over to me. Almost too easy.
I'm taking the over for sure. I'm tempted to take every Notre Dame wide receiver over. Anyone who can catch a ball in this game, I'm very tempted to take the over.
Yeah, I think over. I know these numbers are usually pretty close, and like even when it looks like a slam dunk, it always ends up so close. But I always say like one big catch and you're already at that number. It doesn't take much. It's one catch and one break tackle and you're down the field.
Okay. Notre Dame favored by 12.5 at Pittsburgh. We'll just go.
Saw something today. Notre Dame is 35-0 in their last 35 competitions as 7-point or more road favorites. I think they're going to crush this line. When you want my prediction, you let me know because I think they're going to absolutely smoke this
right
line.
now. Go.
I got Notre Dame winning 44-17.
Okay.
So that would be definitely on the over. Or the cover and the spread. I think the same thing. It's always amazing. Like even last week, it felt close. Then you look at the score at the end. It's like, well, if you gambled on it, you comfortably covered everything that you wanted in terms of points. I think the same thing. I'm going to go way over. I think they probably win something like 35-10. I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think Notre Dame's still going to be making those style points. And that's what helps too, is because if they didn't need the style points at the end of the game, they might take the foot off the gas. But I think they're definitely going to keep going all the way through the end.
Yeah, I think this is a game. Notre Dame is going to force some turnovers. They're going to force Pitt's probably going to turn the ball over more than they've turned over this season. And I took the over on that sack number of 3.5. I've got Notre Dame 35-17 in this game. So they're comfortably covering. And I think that that would be maybe just a little bit under the point total, which I think is 55.5. Like most of Notre Dame's games tend to fall in there. Now, some other big games of significance this weekend. Alabama is a 5.5-point favorite against Oklahoma. Does anybody like the Sooners outright in this game?
No, and I think Bama covers that 5.5.
I would never pick Oklahoma. I follow Texas too closely. No, I think Oklahoma, their season's still on life support. So, and Alabama's kind of getting better as the season rolls on. So I would definitely think that they cover that one pretty heavily.
Yeah, I think, like Batier's hand is supposed to be better. And I just feel like when you look at
I'm not bought in on him being back. 100%.
No, I'm not bought in on him being back. And I think he's got to be like his A++ game to win this game, especially since it's on the road. Like when you look at who Oklahoma's lost to, it's both ranked teams. And this is the best team that they've seen so far this year. That includes Texas. Bobby. So,
I'm surprised that number is so close, though. I think
I am
5.
too.
You could at least double that.
I was going to say at least like 7.5 is kind of probably what I was thinking. But yeah, I like Oklahoma, even given those 5.5 points to win outright. Georgia 6.5-point favorite against Texas, and Bobby is a Longhorn fan. So, are you confident in this game?
No, I don't know if Georgia's as good as people think, though. So that's where I think
agree.
Texas might be able to hang in the game. Those points are nice. I think it'll be a close one. I think Georgia's probably the better team, but I don't think that they're the top 5 team that everybody thinks they are just because they're in the SEC and because they have Georgia on their uniform. So I would say Texas will be in the game, but I don't think they can pull it out. I think both teams have weaknesses. I think the SEC itself isn't as good as everybody thinks. But Georgia probably wins by a couple points.
Bobby's spot on this one. I think Texas covers the spread, but I think they're going to lose the game by probably about 2 or 3 points, a field goal. I think if Texas hosted this game, it could be a different story. I think it would come down to literally the last possession. I think Texas might win it, but give me Texas to cover 6.5, but Georgia to win.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. Texas, like their struggles have been on the road, like you said, am I completely sold on Georgia? No, but they're at home, and like Alabama is really one of the only teams that they lose to at home. So I see Georgia covering this game, or I see Texas playing a close game, but I see Georgia winning outright.
And Arch Manning isn't the guy that Texas fans were hoping for before the season started.
Yeah, that's true too. Ooh, Scott says, hot take, Georgia is not a top 12 team this season. I think that they are, just because there aren't enough other teams that are better than them. Like is Georgia down this year? Definitely. Like if this were any other year, they might not be a top 12 team. But between NIL and rev sharing and everything and transfer portal, as we've seen, the talent pool is spread around a lot more. So I think that's the biggest thing working against Georgia. So I don't think they're as good as most Georgia teams, but I still think for this year they're a top 12 team. But I get I think I'm philosophically, I think I'm agreeing with what Scott is saying, but I still think that they are top 12 this year.
Right now they play tomorrow, neutral field. Who wins, Notre Dame or Georgia?
Notre Dame.
I take Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's what. So and Notre Dame's ranked right around that number. So I think Georgia deserves to be, pretty far down. We'll see what happens after this weekend. It's definitely a
Georgia would
weekend.
only be better defensively, maybe.
Yeah. David says, is Christian Gray healthy for this game? He is. He is off the injury report after missing the last 2 games, and he is expected to play this game. They took him. He's not even questionable going in. So we'll see Notre Dame at full strength in terms of the secondary in this game. Okay, last game, number 17 USC, a 6.5-point favorite hosting number 21 Iowa. Do we see Iowa having any shot in this game?
I think last week was a messy, tough physical game against Oregon. Came down to it. They lost. I think USC is going to crush their soul this weekend. They're going to kick them out of the top 25. I think they covered this 6.5. I think USC actually rolls pretty comfortably in this game.
Yeah, I think USC probably wins by like 20, and then they announce after the game they're going independent. No, I really do think USC is going to win this game, but I don't even know if either one of them is going to end up ranked at the end of the season. I think it's a game that's kind of a throwaway at this point because both teams, their seasons are over.
I think Iowa can hold USC's points down a little bit, but even though Iowa is better offensively this year, I mean, that is still a relative term. You know, they're just not a good offensive team. They're still a good defensive team. So maybe they hold, USC to around 27, 28 points, something like that. That'll be a success, but I don't see them scoring more than 13 points. So it's probably in that range. So I see USC both covering and winning outright in this game. And obviously that's good for Notre Dame.
That's just that helps them. And I just wish I could touch Jesse's hat. I just want to play with the rim of it, see what it feels like.
You got some pizza with Brittany to get to, okay? We don't need to be touching this hat.
Oh, he's trying to give you the rap, Sean.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with that. Both of you, thanks. Thanks to Brittany and Naomi for being hopefully understanding that we went a little bit long tonight, but it felt like we were rushing through a lot of good content. So I wanted to make sure that we got some good stuff in here.
You've been off the last couple days, so we get it.
I know. That's part of it too. It's like I sat here and had nobody to talk to. So
yeah.
Bus lag. Yeah.
Yeah, bus lag.
All right, Jesse, enjoy the trip to Pittsburgh. Enjoy the game. Have fun. Everybody else,
Irish.
of course.
Look for this hat on the 50-yard line behind Notre Dame's bench, about 20 rows up. That's where it'll be. Look for it on the camera as you see CJ Carr airing the ball out.
You're behind the Notre Dame bench?
Behind the Notre Dame bench, 50-yard line, 20 rows up.
Oh, 50. All right. I'll have to see.
What we need is Sean to clip it, a still of you when the camera pans by so that we can have that on the show next week.
Got his green hat on. All right. Enjoy the weekend. We will talk to you Monday. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.